Yo, 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 what it do? What it be? It's your boy ANT repping the game gang. You know we don't play none of that. You a lame, you can't hang. All of that. I'm back, y'all. With this is gonna be the channel for only written content. You feel me? I got the Game Gang live channel on here. I also stream on Twitch, ANT underscore GGE. I also stream and do short form content on TikTok, ANT underscore 303 or ants underscore POV. I think you can find me either one on that. I'm on Instagram, the Game Gang underscore GG. I'm on Twitter, ANT underscore 303. I've been on that bitch since like 2010 type shit before. Yeah, and I still call that bitch Twitter, you know? So I'm on there. Go follow, go subscribe, go, leave a like on this video content. I'm going to be, stay tuned because I'm going to be dropping a lot of hot content soon. Figured I'd get these plugs out of the way because if I don't support myself, how do I expect y'all to support me if I'm not out here supporting myself first? You feel me? Got to love myself before others can love me. So, and if you want to support me, support right now is free. I'm going to be having options in the future, my PayPal, I'm gonna have it linked and get all that together and get all my shit in order. But in the meantime, like I said, I'm gonna be writing some content and just kind of doing my thing. I'll be doing this in my spare free time as a hobby. Hopefully one day I'll be doing this as a real job type shit. But before that, gotta take baby steps. So a while back, I did a series ranking the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history, and I really did have a lot of fun doing the research and putting these lists together and going through decade by decade and doing all that. So I figured why not do the same thing with NBA centers. I'll get back into football positions and teams later. Same thing with the NBA. I'll do different positions. It's just some of those positions get a little complicated, especially in the NBA. You got point forwards and what's a small forward and a point or a power forward now. Same thing with guards. You got combo guards. What's a shooting guard? What's a point guard? What is Kyrie Irving to you? We'll get into those discussions later on, but I figure centers are a lot more straightforward right now, and they have been for, pretty much NBA history, so they would be a lot easier to make the list. So let's start off with going back to the 1940s and 50s and try to make a top 5 list. Despite the obvious lack of film from that area or from that era, I'll be looking at stats, accomplishments, and overall impact on the game of basketball, and that'll be for every decade for the most part, although it'll be easier as we get into later decades with the luxury of having more film. So before I get into the top 5, though, there are a few honorable mentions that I just felt like I couldn't ignore, through the history of basketball. The historian in me wouldn't let them, leave. I was going to leave them off the list, but I felt like I just had to mention them, at least get their names out there, because this is, again, an era that not a lot of people pay attention to, and I'll talk more about that later. But one of those names that kept popping up was Ed Sadowski, and he was a center in the 1940s. Honestly, I could not even tell you what team he played for because he played kind of pre-NBA era. But, and again, he didn't win any championships. He wasn't leading dynasties. His numbers compared to the guys that are actually on my list they're pretty pedestrian. But he was a very consistent center. And on every list that I saw on precursor centers or 1950s centers, his name just kept popping up as a guy who you would want on your team, or who was very consistent, I should say. I wouldn't necessarily say dominant, like I said. He didn't win championships. I think maybe he won like an MVP, an NBL MVP or something like that. But again, this was way before the merger. This was 1940s. All of the guys that are on this top 5 list are in the 50s. So it's not really precursor. It's more like greatest centers of the 50s. Keep it a bean with you. But 2 of the honorable mentions played for the same team at the same time. and both just so happen to be named Red. Red Rocha and Johnny, aka Red Kerr, both played for the Syracuse Nationals, which later became the Philadelphia 76ers. They managed to win an NBA championship with them in 1955 with the help of NBA legend Dolph Schayes against the Fort Wayne Pistons. Now, Johnny Kerr averaged 13 points and 11 rebounds for his career, made 12 playoff appearances along with 3 All-Star game appearances. In 1959, he averaged a career-high 17 points and finished top 10 in rebounds 8 times in his 11 seasons. So, I mean, he was in here putting in work. Keep in mind, though, he went to the playoffs 11 to 12 times and only 1 chip. That means he was losing a lot. So he was choking a lot. I mean, that means he was a contender pretty much his whole career, but definitely a playoff underachiever. But he is a Chicago sports legend who also coached the Bulls during their inaugural seasons, then became a Bulls TV analyst for over 30 years, including their, 6 rings and all that. He was one of the more famous members that wasn't even playing for the team. He's literally a Chicago sports legend over there. He tragically passed away in 2009, but his legacy and impact on the game of basketball lives on. And actually, I think all these guys have passed away on this list, unfortunately. But can't live forever. These guys played in 50s. They lived. Most of them lived long lives. His teammate Red Rocha was a 2-time All-Star and averaged 10 points and 6 rebounds. And he made the playoffs 7 times in his 9-year career. So he was a key piece on contending teams almost his whole career in his own right, just like Johnny Kerr was. Rocha was also the first Hawaiian-born NBA player, and after he retired, he put together what some would call the original Fabulous Five as the head basketball coach of the University of Miami. He changed the whole culture over there for a minute. And he built a lasting basketball legacy even after he retired. The last honorable mention I have is Don Otten, who never won a ring. But him, George Mikan, and a couple other guys are largely responsible for the league implementing the goaltending rule. Besides that and the fact that he ties the record for the most fouls in a game, his career was for the most part pedestrian. And now that we got the honorable mentions out of the way, let's go to the top 5 best centers of the 1950s. And at the number 5 spot, I got Arnie Rison, who won 2 championships, one with the Rochester Royals in 1951 against the Knicks, and another one in 1957 with the Celtics in what was Bill Russell and the Celtics' first championship of many during that era. Rison averaged 12 points and 9 rebounds during his career with 4 All-Star appearances. He led the league in field goal percentage in 1949, and in 1951 he averaged 16 points, 12 rebounds, which were both career highs. And again, this is another era of basketball. People was averaging 20 points and 10 rebounds or 20 and 15, from elite big men. Like, this guy made the top 5 list and didn't even average 20 points. He barely averaged 10 rebounds. So, definitely a different era, slower paced era. They did have games where they did score a lot. I mean, Wilt scored 100 in this era, so they did have a little bit of a faster pace. But yeah, don't expect crazy numbers from a lot of guys on these early lists. Even actually, period, because I don't think even some of the centers in the 90s were putting up crazy, averages. At number 4 on the list, I got another 2-time champion he could arguably be higher on the list, but he only played 3 years in the 50s, and in those 3 years, he won 2 rings as a star of the Boston Celtics, and I'm talking, of course, about Bill Russell. You want to talk about an immediate impact? I mean, Russell was drafted in 56, and that year he helped Boston to their first championship and win it. And then, I mean, of course, the Hawks came back and beat them the next season. And then Bill and the Celtics would respond with one more chip after that in 59, and then every single championship in the 60s except one. And I'll talk more about Bill in the next decade video. I'm going to save most of that. But like I said, if he would have played longer in the 50s, then he would have been a lot higher on this list, if not number one, no doubt. At number 3, though, I got Neil Johnston, who who led the league in points per game, points, and field goal percentage 3 times. He made the playoffs 4 times in his career, leading to a championship with the Philadelphia Warriors in 1956. And for his career, he averaged 19 points and 11 rebounds. He made 6 All-Star appearances with 5 All-NBA teams. After his retirement from playing, he coached the Philadelphia Warriors, and he even mentored a young Wilt Chamberlain on his ascension to becoming an all-time great in his own right. Now, coming in at the number 2 spot is going to be easy Ed Macauley, who averaged 17.5 points per game and 7.5 rebounds per game. He went to 7 All-Star games and 4 All-NBA teams. He and Cliff Hagan were traded by the Celtics for Bill Russell's draft rights, and Macauley actually helped persuade the Celtics into making the trade because his son was being treated for spinal meningitis in St. Louis. Nobody really talks about it, but this could kind of be the basketball equivalent of the Curse of the Bambino, except Bill Russell never really had a cool nickname because Boston fans were too busy yelling slurs at him while he was winning them championship after championship. It's besides the point, though. Here's what I mean by the Hawks being cursed, though. After that trade happened, the Hawks that were led by Hagan and Macauley and Bob Pettit, they went to the finals in 1957, and then they lost to Russell and the Celtics. The next year, the Hawks got their get back and won against the Celtics in the finals. And then the year after, they failed to make the finals. Macauley retired, and the Hawks haven't been back to the finals in over 50 years. Just imagine if they would have had Macauley, Cliff Hagan, and then drafted Bill Russell. Basketball history would look a lot different. Ed Macauley, though, was a very early example of a stretch big. He didn't rely solely on mid-range set shots or heavy post play, trying to be bully his opponent. He could actually shoot from longer distances. He was effective in the pick and roll if it was around or prominent in that era. Probably it would have definitely been interesting to see him play in the 3-point area. He's definitely one of those players that was probably a little bit before his time in terms of what he was doing. But finally, at the number 1 spot, I have none other than Mr. Basketball himself. You don't get a name like that and not be the best player of your decade or even your generation or your era. It shouldn't even be a debate. George Mikan is without a doubt not only the best center of the 50s, but he was the best player of the decade. Like, period. I don't even think you could say Cousy. Cousy didn't come around until the 60s. Yeah. Mikan is the best player of the 50s, bar none. His entry into the National Basketball League was somewhat odd. And yeah, that's right. I said it, the National Basketball League. It wasn't the A yet. His entry into the NBL was kind of odd as he started playing at the end of the 46 and 47 season for the Chicago Gears. And in 25 games, he averaged 16.5 points as a rookie, which at the time was fucking earth-shattering. Like, these people couldn't imagine what the hell they were seeing at the time. But after he led the Gears to the championship, they won it all. After the 47 season had ended, the Gears left the NBL, and the Minneapolis Lakers took their spot and acquired the rights to draft Mikan. So Mikan is a champion, and he gets drafted to another team in the league because his team jumped ship, didn't get a chance to defend their title, but here Mikan is, and he gets drafted to the Minneapolis Lakers, which would later, of course, become the Los Angeles Lakers that we know today. And, I mean, this is where Mikan would make his legendary play known, and he would build the foundations of one of, if not the most prestigious team in basketball today. The first basketball dynasty, without a doubt. Before the Celtics went on their 11 championship run, before Lombardi built a dynasty in Green Bay, and right as the Yankees were in the middle of their 29 World Series appearances, between 29 and 64. I mean, they won 20 of them, including 4 in a row from 36 to 39. And then from 1936 to 43, they went 7 for 8 in the World Series. Then again, from 47 to 64, they won 10 World Series, including 5 in a row from 49 to 53. The Yankees dynasty, that has to go down as the greatest of all time in any sport, period. Fucking ridiculous. I had to write that shit down and repeat it because I couldn't even believe the shit. Like, what the hell? What the Halliburton? What the Heliante? But, no, for real. Mikan and the Lakers went on to build a dynasty in their own right, winning the NBL championship in 48. And then the Lakers joined the BAA and won the championship there in 49. That offseason, the the BAA, the Basketball Association of America, merged into the NBA that we know today. And that didn't matter to Mikan, because then, as the Lakers went to the NBA Finals and won that motherfucker too. So, one thing to note, though, is that when the two leagues merged, the NBA chose to ignore the NBL's history. So, Mikan's NBL championship isn't recognized or counted by the NBA. However, his BAA championship is counted, so he won 3 titles in a row, 3 different leagues, but the NBA only counts 2. So he won in 49 and 50, according to the NBA. Then the Lakers lost to the Royals with Arnie Rison in 51. Then they won 3 NBA championships in a row from 52 to 54. Mikan only played 7 years in the NBA, and in that time he made the playoffs every year, made 4 All-Star games, made 4 All-Star games, made 5 All-NBA teams, averaged 23 points per game and 13 rebounds for his career. And in the 1950 and 51 season, he averaged 28 points and 14 rebounds. Like, this was before the implementation of the shot clock. And he's putting fucking buckets on these plumbers and milkmen and all that shit. You feel me? Putting buckets on them. And really, this list is Mikan and everybody else. Like I said, he's the best player, maybe besides Russell, on this list. But in the 50s, like, there is no better player than Mikan, period. And there really is no evolution of the NBA. Like I said earlier, he was one of the main reasons why they implemented the goaltending rule. And I'm sure Russell and other guys like Will probably would have been the reason later on. Mikan was that guy who did it first, you know. There's got to, and again, I'm not saying just because you do something first doesn't mean you're the best at it by any means. But you gotta be recognized as the motherfucker who said, hey, the ball is coming down. I'm gonna just smack that motherfucker out of here. What the hell? Like, what are we doing? But nobody really respects or cares about this era of basketball, and that's okay. It's widely considered a dead ball era. But you cannot ignore the talented players that influenced and changed the game around them, as the world changed around them, goddamn. And, there is no evolution of the NBA without guys like Mikan and Russell and the guys from the 60s that I'll talk about in the next episode. And I hope y'all enjoyed this list. I'm going to be coming out again with more. I got the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. 2000s, 2010s all coming up. Then I got the all-time list. Now, that's gonna be interesting to put together. But y'all, like I said, it's gonna be coming soon. So y'all stay tuned. And I'm gonna be doing other projects too. I'm gonna be doing hip hop history videos. I got some Kingpins and Capos, aka organized crime history videos. Just on the back burner, but they getting worked on, type shit. Along with all my live, I do go live every Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or at least I try to. I be trying. Don't always work out like that, but I really, weekends is really when I get the most work done, and then I take, time during the week to write and work my fucking real job type shit that I hate. But besides the point. Again, I can't really encourage you guys to go and study film and watch these guys, because the film from that era is so rare. And if it is, it's like a grainy clip and a highlights. But watching some of these highlights, like watching some of the old Celtics highlights, or some of the old the 1951 championship highlights, and some of the things these guys were doing, is like, okay, like that, you could do that in today's game. Like, that shit, okay. Yeah, I gained a new perspective and a new respect for it, I guess. Again, there is very little info or film on pretty much everybody in the era, except for like highlights and grainy film. So yeah, again, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. This was my top 5 centers of the 1940s and 50s. Well, mainly the 50s. I ain't gonna lie. The top 5 centers of the 50s. Hope y'all have a good one. Y'all be safe. Don't get smoked. This has been your boy, ANT. I'll be dropping more high content soon, so stay tuned. Like I said, leave a like, leave your boy a follow, and yeah, I'll drop all my socials, down below in like a link tree or some shit like that. Again, I'm out. Peace. Y'all be safe. Don't get smoked.